Hey, aloha. Welcome to the Friday call. I am Tom Gaddis. And if your sales process feels like chaos, leads falling through the cracks, follow ups missed, no clear next steps, then you have a pipeline problem. And high level pipelines are the cure. And on today's coaching call, I'm going to show you how to organize your entire prospecting and sales flow so you always know what to do next. You can track every lead, every conversation, and even automate follow ups so nothing slips through. We have a great call, a great training lineup for you. I'm also going to take your questions. I'm going to try to make it through this without coughing. I have been battling. Look, couldn't do it. I've been battling a head cold all week. It has moved from here to here. I'm feeling better, but man, it has just not gone away. So again, Tom Gaddis, excited to be here. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of pipelines. I'm going to dive into the training. We're going to go through that. And then after, we'll celebrate some wins. We'll do some shout outs. I'll take your questions, and we'll even give away two $25 Cash App gift cards. So stick around for that. All right, let's dive in. So high level, so pipelines, right? What is a pipeline? Well, like I said, pipelines organize your entire prospecting and sales flow so you always know what to do next. They allow you to track every lead, every conversation, and even automate follow-up so nothing slips through. The best part, though, is you get instant visibility into the health of your prospecting workflow through the pipeline, right? So you'll see exactly where deals are stalling, what's working, and what needs to be fixed. I know I responded to somebody in the school group the other day because I see this question a lot when it comes to prospecting. People want to know, like, how many leads do you contact and to get, like, what kind of results do you get if you contact 100 leads and all that stuff? And I know why people ask those types of questions, because you're trying to get a feel for, like, well, what can I expect? But here's the thing about prospecting, right? Like, you're never just going to contact 100 leads and stop, ever. Like, prospecting is an ongoing, never-ending process in your business. So you have to get comfortable with that. Like, there's never an end point where you're going to be like, oh, well, all I need to do is contact 1,000 businesses. It doesn't work like that. Like, once you contact those 1,000 businesses, there's going to be another 1,000 to contact and another 1,000. And like, the prospecting never ends. There's no finish line. So there's not just like some block number, right? And when you start prospecting, like, that is just the beginning of the process, right? So we've started our outreach. We have a message that we think is good, a sequence we think is great. We start sending it out. Now we have to start looking at what's going on. So if we're using email, for instance, are the emails getting opened? Are people clicking links? Are they responding? So a pipeline helps us in high level to keep all of that organized and to be able to instantly see what part of the process isn't working. So if I'm looking at my pipeline and I see that, man, I'm sending out 50 emails and nobody opened one email. Well, I have an attention problem with my email, right? So I need to go back and look at that email and say, okay, well, what can I change here? What's the subject line? Do I need a new subject line? Like, what kind of a different angle maybe can I take with this that will get people's attention and get them to actually open the email? So I need to focus on that first, because whatever I'm selling on the back end or whatever I'm offering in the email doesn't matter if no one opens it, right? So when you have a pipeline set up, you're able to look and see what part of the process is the sticking point, so you know what to look at and what to focus on there. Pardon me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to try my best to keep the coughing at a minimum, but man, this has been brutal this week. So I'm going to show you how to use pipelines in high level to bring order to the chaos and close more deals with less stress. So a pipeline in high level is basically just a visual tool that helps you track where your leads or clients are in your sales, or they can be used for like fulfillment or your onboarding process. Okay. It's made up of stages. And when you put a contact into a pipeline, they become what HighLevel calls an opportunity. So look, let me go over here to the screen here. I'm going to share my screen here. And let's see, we'll share the entire screen. So we'll go over here. So you guys should be looking at, this is a HighLevel sub account that I set up to demo this for you guys. What's up, Doran, Shelly, Doug, welcome everybody, Barbara, Phil. So I'm going to show you guys pipelines in here. So I'm going to show you exactly how we set up a pipeline, all that kind of stuff. Before I do that though, I do want to spend a couple of minutes just talking about contacts. So this is something that I never really see anyone in the HighLevel community talking about, because I think they just take it for granted that you know what this contacts section does, what its functionality is, and all of that kind of stuff. So the contacts in HighLevel are part of their database management suite, right? So whenever you have a potential client or somebody that you maybe want to prospect or bring on as a client, you would always add them as a contact in your HighLevel account. So you can add individual contacts to your HighLevel account just by clicking this little plus button. So you go to contacts, you click this first little plus button, it pops up this screen. You can put in their details and then you just click save. And now that person is a contact inside your HighLevel account. And this allows you to keep track of specific things for that contact. So for instance, let's say that this All Rice Maui Thai Bistro, I reach out to this contact. I'm going to pull up their contact information. So when you click on a contact in HighLevel, it brings up this screen. And if you've had any, sorry, I can't catch it before it happens. No, if you've had any contact with them, like email, SMS, WhatsApp, it will show up in their contact card right here. And then you will also see like you can put in their first name, their last name, all of this information in this little contact form is their info, right? And then you can see there's general info. So it has their business name, their street address, their postal code. Then there's a little section where you can add additional info, right? And then there's this action section where you can give them tags if you want to group them as a part of a group of contacts that you want to focus on, right? Then there's also this automation section. So if I want to add them to a workflow or see what workflows they've been through, I can see all that right here in their contact card. And then there's this opportunities tab. Now this directly has to do with pipelines, and I'm going to show you how to create a pipeline, but you can go to a contact and add them to a pipeline, all that kind of stuff right in here. And then of course there's other things as well in here about the contact. And so like if you had a call with this person, you can go into their contact, right? And just go to tasks, and you could add a task for this specific contact, right? And then you would be able to go into their sheet and see what tasks have been done, what tasks have been created. You can see all of that over here. Like if I want to set up and say like, look, I want to call this person next Wednesday, I could say follow-up call, and then I could put in the date. I could say what it is, and then I could assign this to a person on my team or myself, and then I could click save, and now I've created a task for this specific contact that I can then go in here to the contacts and look and see like, oh, what tasks do I have this week? Oh, on Wednesday, there's this follow-up call, right? Does everybody see that and kind of the power in this? So even though there's nothing automated about this, it gives us a central location to put all the information about a specific prospect so that we don't have to try to keep track of all of that stuff in our head, right? So like if I talk to this person and I realize like, hey, they have a daughter named Deborah, I can add that in. I can add that information in here to the notes section, You know, there's a note section in here, right here. So I could open this up and I could add a note and say daughter Deborah or Debbie, right? And maybe they're in high school. I can make a note of that. So then when I come back to this contact, if I'm on a call with them, I can open up this note section and I can see any notes that I've put in there. And then I don't have to try to remember all of that stuff, right? So to them, I just look like I know everything about them. Like it's very personalized outreach and contact. And I maybe put interesting facts that I get in their conversations, but I don't have to try to remember all that. I can just pull up their contact card when I'm on the phone with them and I can see all of those things, right? So contacts are like the very first kind of line of getting organized in HighLevel with your prospecting, right? So I'm here on, let's see, I want to go back to Smart Lists. So I'm going to just go over a couple of these things at the top, and then we'll get into pipelines because this does play into that. So when you're in the contacts window view, you'll see this tab called Smart List. So what is a Smart List? Well, with HighLevel, you can import contacts in bulk via a CSV or a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. You don't have to put them in one at a time, right? And so there's this button here. It's kind of like an upside down C with an arrow down. And when you click it, this is how you import contacts. Now, when you import a contact, you can, there's a button here. Here, let me just pick a random list here. I think I have one. Here we go. When we go through and we map, like we upload the CSV and we map, I'm not going to go into the details of this because I covered this in another training. But you can see the first option here when you import contacts is to create a smart list. So when you check this, you can then name this list whatever you want. And when you import these contacts, they will always be grouped together as a smart list. So I don't have to go back and try to remember, oh, what businesses did I import, right? Like you'll see up here, I imported that list and I named it Kihei Restaurants. And when I click that smart list, it pulls up all of those businesses that I imported in that one single import. So this is a way that you can stay organized adding your contacts. So like if you're a Smart Directory AI user and you're importing multiple lists, import them as smart lists and name them, because then you can easily go back and you can just get all of the contacts in that one list to do whatever you want with them. Like if you want to send prospecting emails to them or whatever it is, but it's a great way to keep them kind of grouped together so you don't have to try to remember, oh, who did I add last and all that kind of stuff, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so a couple of things in this contact menu. One, the plus sign, that's how you create an individual contact. This is this little funnel. You can add them to pipelines, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute, but you can do it by group. So you just select the contacts that you want, and then you click this and you would, you would select the pipeline that you want to add them to, and it would add them to the pipeline. We'll go into more detail on that because I know I haven't showed you how to create that yet. This little button with the arrow, this is how you add contacts to an automation. Like if you want to manually put 25 contacts through a workflow, you just select the contacts that you want and you click this and you select the workflow that you want them to go into, and boom, you can put them in there. You can send SMS to the contacts you select. You can send, this is a smart list. There's tags. You can add tags. You can delete tags. You can delete the contacts. You can send review requests. So if you have a client and you have their contacts in here, you can check them and send an email that will ask them to leave a review. You can export contacts. You can import. This is how you add, edit to a company. You can do bulk WhatsApp messages, and then you can merge up to 10 contacts into a single contact. So that's just a quick overview of this little list here. At the top, the smart lists obviously shows you the smart lists, the bulk actions. So whenever you do an action, like whenever you add contacts to a pipeline, or you add them to a workflow in bulk, HighLevel asks you to name that action. And this is where you can go back and see the history of what you've done. So like if you can't remember, if you're like, oh, I don't remember if I put them through this workflow or not, you can go back here and see the complete history of everything you've done in your contacts with bulk actions right here. Restore, this is where contacts that are deleted go. And if you need to restore them, you can restore them. Tasks, this is where you can go and see all tasks that you have for any contacts in your HighLevel account. Companies, I don't have any set up. And then you can manage your smart list right here if you want to delete your smart list or edit the name or things like that. All right. So is everybody with me so far there on contacts? Okay, awesome. All right, we are going to forge ahead. So the next step with the contact is to put them in a pipeline. So again, a pipeline in HighLevel is a visual tool that helps you track where your leads or clients are in your sales or fulfillment process, okay? It's made up of stages like new lead, call booked, or closed won that show you exactly what step each contact is on, so you never lose tracks of deals or to-dos. So kind of think of it like a digital version of a whiteboard with sticky notes, except it's all automated, organized, and it's scalable, okay? And by the end of this training, you're going to know how to build, how to manage, and how to automate pipelines to close more deals and stay organized like a pro. So to access the pipelines, we go over here to the tab right under contacts, which is opportunities, okay? Now I'm going to show you, this is a simple sales pipeline, and you'll see that it has 4 stages. There's sales call booked, sales call attended, verbal yes, payment made. So this would be a simple way if you're a solopreneur and you're just getting off the ground, you could use a very simple pipeline like this to keep track of what's going on with your prospecting, right? When you book a sales call, you add that contact here. When you do the sales call and they showed up, you add them here. And then when you get a verbal yes, you move them here. And when they make the payment, you move them here. So this is just a way to stay organized and see where all your contact or all your opportunities are going. So an opportunity is when you add a contact to one of these stages. So let's say that I talked to that Thai bistro and I booked a sales call with them. Okay, now I want to add them to this sales call booked. So I can go to my pipeline. I can just click on this add opportunity, and I can either enter them manually here if I didn't already have their information, right? Then I could just create an opportunity for them and it would put them in here. Or I can do this. I can just go back to contacts and I can click on the contact I want, this all rice by Mao Thai Bistro. And I'm going to click on the little funnel, pipeline change. I'm going to say sales call booked. I'm just going to call that the action name. Now I'm going to pick that pipeline that I was in, which was the sales pipeline. And then I'm going to select the stage I want them, sales call booked. And now I'm just going to click update opportunity. And now when I go back to that pipeline, you're going to see that that business is now in here. And I can move them from stage to stage as we progress along manually, just with my cursor. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to make these pipelines in just a second. It's really, really easy. But you can see this again is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Boots on the ground kind of way to stay organized, right? To keep track of where your leads are and what you're doing, setting up a simple pipeline and moving them around like this. So how do we create this pipeline? Well, all we have to do is in the opportunities tab, we go up here to pipelines, and there's this green button that says create. Hold on one second. I'm going to close my office door. Sorry about that. Somebody came home and the dog started going crazy. So if we just click this green button, create new pipeline, it pops up a window. We can give our pipeline a name. So I'm going to call this simple pipeline example. Now, you can get very complex and complicated with pipelines. I'll show you some of that in a minute. But I think if you're just starting out and you're new to all this, the simpler you can keep it, the better. Really just think of this, even if you're doing this in kind of a manual way and you don't have a lot of it automated, you are going to make much more progress and be a lot more successful at staying organized, even using this in a manual way, even if it's not all automated. Okay, so we created simple pipeline example, and then this is where you create your stages. So I'm going to create a stage. Let's just do new lead. So I'll type in new lead, and then I'm going to click add stage. We'll do replied. So I'm going to say, we'll say this is for an email campaign. We'll say replied, and then we'll add another stage, no reply. So this is a simple 3-stage pipeline. If I want to change the order of these, I can click these little arrows and move things around, right? And then all I have to do is click save. And now you will see I have a simple pipeline example right here. And when I go back to the opportunities tab, this little drop-down menu will show me all the different pipelines I have. And I can select that one. And you'll see here is the pipeline that I just created. Okay. Is everybody with me on this so far? Right? Okay. So that's how we set up a pipeline. And again, you can make them very simple. This one only has 3 stages. I was showing you this one that has 4 stages. Here's one that is much more complicated, right? We have leads, sales rep first contact, no contact made, filled out homepage survey, filled out discovery form, scheduled meeting, rescheduled appointment, upsell opportunities, AAA prospect, right? So this is much more detailed. Are they a AAA prospect, an A prospect, a B prospect, a C prospect, future follow-up, no show, right? So you can see one loss, canceled, end of contract. So again, a pipeline can be as simple or as complex and detailed as you want to make it. Now, we did not just start off making pipelines that are this complex. So again, I would recommend that you start small, start with simple pipelines, get comfortable with the process. And then as you move forward and your client base grows and you start doing more and more prospecting, you start to build things out a little more detailed. So I'm going to show you actions and all that stuff as well, Timothy. So we're going to get into that right now. So that's how we create a simple pipeline, right? And again, I'm going to use this one as an example. So we can either add opportunities ourselves, we can import them, right? So we can import them if we want from a CSV file. Or again, we can just go to our contacts and whatever leads that we want to put into this pipeline, we just select the leads that we want to add to the pipeline. We click the little funnel and we're going to say adding to simple pipeline. And then I'm going to select my simple pipeline example. I'm going to add them to the new lead stage. And then I'm just going to click update opportunity. And now they're added. And again, if I don't remember what I did, I can go back to bulk actions and you can see here's that bulk action that I just did. It shows the time and what I did and the stats. Okay, everybody with me there? So I'm going to go back to opportunities. We're in our simple pipeline example. You change pipelines in here because a pipeline isn't just for prospecting, right? You can also use pipelines for onboarding. So here's an example of an onboarding pipeline where, look, they paid their invoice. Now they're a new customer. Now there's an onboarding call booked, onboarding call attended. Like we can keep track of the onboarding process. So this is how we stay organized and make sure nothing falls through the cracks at the agency with our entire process. The sooner that you can set this up, right? If you start doing these kind of best practices early on, it will make it much easier down the road than if you're just kind of doing it however, and then you decide to get organized and you try to move everything that you're already doing in here. It's better to just kind of set these simple things up first and just start getting in the habit of operating within these types of things. Even if you're doing everything manually, that is a way bigger advantage than just trying to keep track on your own. Okay, so pipelines can be used for onboarding and also for other things, like we have a paid traffic pipeline, right? So these are things that are running through paid traffic. So they can be used for different services. You could have an SEO pipeline, a social media pipeline, again, onboarding, sales pipeline, all that kind of stuff. So let's go back to our simple example and let me talk about what happens to these opportunities when they're in the pipeline, how we can move them around, and actions we can take with them. Okay. So first, let's talk about these cards that are created when we make a contact and opportunity. This is killing me here. Okay. So you'll see there's a number of actions when we make a contact and opportunity that we can take with them in the pipeline. So like if I wanted to call this, I can just click this little phone and it will dial the phone number that is in this contacts card, and it will open up the dialer, and now I can call them. So if you're reaching out to businesses, maybe you're like a smart directory AI member and you're doing courtesy calls, you could, all the businesses that you want to do a courtesy call to, you could create a courtesy call pipeline. You could add them into the first stage, and then you could just use the HighLevel dialer to call them, and you just click the button and just go down each one, save you a lot of time, right? The next one is view conversations. So if I click this, it will take me to that contact card so I can see what conversations have happened with that contact, right? The next one is add tags. So if I want to, let's say that I call this contact and they answer, so I could add a tag of call completed. So I would just click this to add a tag to that contact's card, right? Next up is I can add a note. So let's say they don't answer. I could open this up and add a note. Did not answer on, and I can put in the date, right? And then I could just click save, and it would just automatically add that note to the contacts card, right? Next up, we can add a task. So let's say maybe I'm talking to this contact and I need to do some follow-up action. I can just click this. It will open up the add task window, and I can create a task for them right here. I can assign it to me or someone else on my team, okay? I can even book update appointments from right in this window. So all of this stuff you can do easily from the contacts little card here. And see, here's the add an appointment. So let's say I call them and they want to schedule a follow-up appointment. I just click this. It opens up the book appointment. I can select the calendar I want. I can set the date, and I can book the appointment right here. Okay, so very, very powerful to stay organized and work within each individual contact. Now, once something happens, I can say, okay, look, I'm going to move them to the replied because, I emailed them and they replied back. So now I move them over here. Or if they didn't reply, I could move them over here. Again, I can do that manually. Now you can also automate the moving of contacts from one stage to the other based on actions that you do. But to do that, you have to use workflows. And I'm going to show you that as well. But again, I can't stress this enough. I think a lot of people want to get too complicated too fast when they start seeing the power in opportunities and pipelines and things like that. So again, start small. Learn to walk before you start trying to run a marathon. Okay? So first, just get comfortable with creating pipelines, adding contacts as opportunities, working within the pipelines, moving them manually from thing to thing as you're doing your processes, right? And then you can start to automate and really make this stuff stand out. So I'm going to talk about that as well. So I showed you how to create the pipelines, how to add the contacts in bulk. We talked about the contacts card, how to move them manually as well, right? So let's talk about some pipeline best practices, and then we will get into automations and how to automate a lot of this stuff in HighLevel. So the first best practice is to, when you're naming the stages in your pipeline, make them action-based. Don't make them vague, right? So a good stage name is like call scheduled, proposal sent, replied, no reply, right? A bad pipeline stage name is interested, maybe, right? Like those are very vague. We want to know, are they won or are they lost? That would be better, right? So don't let leads set idle in your pipeline. So you can use automation or task reminders. So you can set reminders. Hey, I need to follow up with this person on this date. You can do all that stuff right in here. Like I can just set a task. Like if I decide I need to follow up with this contact 2 months from now, I can create a task right here by adding a task, set it for 2 months from now. And then 2 months from now, when I log into this HighLevel sub account, that task will pop up and it will say, hey, you need to do this task today. So I don't have to try to remember it or remember that I needed to follow up with them 60 days ago. Like it will just remind me automatically. Okay. Use multiple pipelines when it makes sense. So don't just make a bunch of pipelines to make a bunch of pipelines, right? Like if you don't need an SEO specific pipeline, don't make one. So what are reasons to have separate pipelines? Well, a sales pipeline, that's a good reason to have a specific pipeline just for sales. Onboarding, that's another good reason to have a specific pipeline. Renewals, that's another good reason to have a specific pipeline, right? So make sure you name your pipelines clearly, okay? And always have a won or lost stage in there so that you can clean them up, so that contacts just aren't indefinitely living in a pipeline, okay? And when you set a pipeline up and you automate the process, like let's say that we set a pipeline up and when we drop a lead in, it sends them an email, which I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. And then we can have things happen based on whether they reply or don't reply. And so it'll move them to different stages. And then we can come and look at this pipeline and see, is our subject line working? Is our email converting, right? Like we can actually see based on where they're going in the pipeline and where they're stopping and all that stuff, where the problems are and where the things are that we need to work on. So does all of that make sense to everybody, right? And Margie, I don't know if it will print them, but I know that you can come in and you just click on contacts and click on tasks, and it will show you all the tasks that you have. Look, this is all, you can show just the ones that are due today. You can show any that are overdue right here, and you can show all your upcoming tasks right here. So very easy to stay organized in the contact section just by going to the task part. And then I'm sure you could print this list off if you needed to. Okay, so here's where the fun really starts, because now that we've seen how we can move them manually, let's talk about how we automate this process. How can we automate moving contacts from stage to stage based on things that they do? Okay, so you can use workflows to automate a lot of pipeline actions. You can use workflows to assign team members to the opportunities, notify your internal team if the opportunity moves to a new stage. You can change the opportunity status automatically. You can send messages to the opportunities and move them based on their actions. So let's dive into that. Now, I did a training, not last Friday, but the Friday before, called Winning with Workflows. If you haven't watched that, I would go back and watch that. I went into a lot of detail with workflows, how they work, all that stuff. I'm not going to go back through all of that. I'll maybe do some brief review here as we set up a simple workflow. But if you want more information on workflows and all the possibilities, go check that training out as well. So let's set up a simple workflow that will send an email to anyone that we put in this new lead category. And if they reply, it will automatically move them to the replied stage. And if they don't reply, it will move them to the no reply stage. Okay? Very, very simple. So to set up workflows, we go to automation here on the left. This is where all the workflows live in HighLevel, right? Now, I'm going to create a new workflow. I'm going to go start from scratch. HighLevel has some really awesome recipes that you can use. Recipes are just pre-built workflows. So if you select a recipe, you can go through and check and see if there's one that fits what you want to do. But we're just going to make this one from scratch. So I'm going to call this new simple workflow. So one of the things you want to get in the habit with your workflows and your pipelines is being very detailed in your naming conventions, because it makes it much easier to see what's going on and all that stuff. So I'm going to call it new simple workflow. We'll say email, reply, no reply. That way I can just look at this list and see what this one is doing. I don't have to try to guess and try to remember. Okay. Now, whenever we're setting up a workflow, the first thing we want to do is add a trigger. So we want, whenever we put someone into this workflow, we want them to be added to the first stage. All right. So I'm gonna click add new trigger. And if we scroll down here to opportunities, there's an opportunities section. So all of these actions have to do with pipelines. Okay. So I'm going to say opportunity created. So choose a workflow trigger. Opportunity created, opportunity created. We're going to add a filter. We are going to put them in a pipeline. We're going to select our simple pipeline example. And then we are going to add them pipeline stage. And we're going to add them to new lead. Okay. So whenever I add an opportunity to the simple pipeline and they get put in the pipeline stage new lead, it is going to fire this workflow. Okay. So opportunity created in simple pipeline. I'm going to call it that. I'm going to click save trigger. All right. Now you can have multiple triggers, but I like to keep this simple and just use one. So now we want them to get an email. So I'm going to go through here. I'm just going to go down. I'm going to type in email here and it will pull up send email. This is the action we want. So I'm going to click that. And now I would need to, we'll just call this email 1. I'm not going to fill all this in, but now I would write whatever email I want this person to get. And I just click save action. And so now whenever I add someone to the new lead stage of that pipeline, it will automatically send them this email. Is everyone with me so far? Okay. So now when they're added to that stage, they're going to get this email. And now we want to have 2 different things happen, whether they reply or don't reply. So I'm going to click this plus sign. Now, one of the things in a HighLevel workflow is you have to set a wait time if you want to base it on whether the contact responds. So I'm going to find the wait action, which is right here. It's called wait. And you can wait for a time delay, or we can wait for the contact to reply. Do you see this? So I'm going to select this contact reply. And I want them to reply to the email. Now that's the only thing that's in here because that's the only email I have. So if I had an email here and I sent them an SMS, I could have the workflow wait for them to reply to one or the other or both, right? So now I'm going to click Save Action. So we add them to new lead. They get this email. Now HighLevel is waiting to see if they reply or if they don't reply. Now, what do we want to happen? Well, we want, if they reply, we want to move them to replied. And if they don't, we want to move them to no reply. So we click our plus sign again, and we're going to look for what's called the if else action. So here's the if else action. I'm going to click on that. I'm just going to build my own. And I am going to select contact replied. True. So that's going to be my first one. So yes. Right. And I'm just going to click save action. Oh, it kind of moved it over. So you can see it has now created a condition, an if else condition. So if they reply yes, they're going to go this way. And if they reply no, they're going to go this way. So I'm going to edit this. So instead of none, I want this to say no. So now I can make this so that if they reply yes, so if the contact replied is true, then I want to update their pipeline stage. So here, let me go back down to the opportunities section. Did I pass it? Let's just do update. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do update, create update opportunity. So I'm going to go to the pipeline, simple pipeline example. And I'm going to move them to replied. I can give them a name if I want, a source. I can assign this a value. I can select status, whatever I want to do here, right? And then I'm going to click save action. So now if the opportunity replies, it's going to move them to the replied stage. And then I can just do the same thing for this as well, right? So if they don't reply, so I'm going to go create update opportunity in the same pipeline, simple pipeline example. If they don't reply, we're going to move them to no reply. And so that's it. So now I have created, I'm going to just click save, and I have this in draft mode. But now we've created a workflow where whenever we add someone to the new lead, it sends them this email. And then if they reply, it changes their stage automatically. And if they don't, it moves them to the other one. Okay. So that is how workflows and pipelines work together. Now, again, you can get as complicated as you want with this process. And I know right now, if you're new to all this, this may seem a little overwhelming, but just go back, take it one step at a time, build a very simple workflow, just like I did here on your own, create a very simple pipeline so you can start to see how all of these things work together, right? Don't worry about getting super complicated and detailed. Just start to understand how pipelines work and the workflow builder. So now, again, watch this. I'm going to add a lead to this, right? So we're going to go to contacts. Oh, wait. First, let me publish this so I can show you this in action. Okay, so I had it in draft mode. So I'm going to click publish. So now my workflow is published. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to add a couple contacts to it. Let's just add 2 contacts to it. Okay. Again, we do that with the little funnel. We're just going to call it a test. We're going to add them to simple pipeline example. We're going to add them to the new lead stage. And I'm going to click add update opportunity. Okay. And now if I go first to my pipeline, you will see these 2 new contacts have been added to the new lead. Okay. Now let's go to the workflow and see what's going on there. So I'm going to type in simple so we can find it. You can see now there are 2 people enrolled in this workflow. So those are so when I added the contacts to that stage in the pipeline, it added them to this workflow. And now you can see what's going on in the workflow. It sent the email and now it's waiting for them to reply. See this little person with the 2 contacts? See? Now we can see like where they're at in the stage of this workflow. So if they reply, it'll move them here. If they don't reply, eventually it'll move them here. Okay. Now, if I want to look at what's going on in this workflow, I can click on enrollment history and I can see the 2 people that were in here. See, it's waiting for contact. I can look at the execution logs, right? Oh, it sent the emails, If it didn't send the emails, this would say skipped. And then I could click view details and I could see why it didn't send them the email, right? So that's a troubleshoot, but I cover that in another. So anyway, so our simple workflow is working. All of this is good. 2 contacts enrolled. So now anytime I add anyone to this new lead section, it will send that email. It will wait to hear back from them, and then we'll move them based on this so that I can stay organized. All right. Okay, I know that was a lot, but that is how contacts work. That's the power of pipelines, right? If this seems complicated to you right now, take a deep breath and trust me, learn about pipelines and how they work, how they function with contacts, and then how they function with workflows. Understanding the basics of that will change the way that you prospect and use HighLevel forever. When we first started using HighLevel, it wasn't the AI stuff that really revolutionized our business and made us more effective. It was doing these very simple things with the contacts and the pipelines and the CRM. And in the beginning, we were doing it all manually. We didn't have it all automated because we were figuring it out, right? But even doing it manually allowed us to stay organized. It allowed us to not miss things with contacts. When follow-up needed to happen, follow-up happened because we had tasks and reminders and all of those things that you need in a good CRM platform. So CRM, customer relationship management, that really is the core function of HighLevel. And understanding this part, becoming good at the CRM aspect of HighLevel will make you have a superpower when you go to do all that other stuff, because all of the AI agents, all of the things with Smart Directory, at its core, it comes back to a lot of the CRM stuff, moving contacts, prospecting, all of those things. So understanding this will make your life easier with all of that other stuff. And you'll be able to do things that most HighLevel users won't, because you'll understand the CRM and how the contacts work with opportunities and how the stages work and how to move them automatically and how to do all of that stuff. So a lot of things that maybe seem complex to you right now will all of a sudden become crystal clear because you understand this core functionality of HighLevel. All right, so I'm going to go through some shark shout outs, some things like that. If you have questions about this, please pop them in the chat. I hope you guys got a lot out of that. This is one of those areas that I think just a lot of people overlook because they think, oh, I understand all that. And they just try to move on to more complicated, sexy things. And they have all kinds of problems. And the reason they're having problems is because they don't understand the underlying foundation that needs to happen before, which is contacts, pipelines, and workflows, right? Very, very, very key stuff. All right, so I want to do a couple things. One, I want to give a big shout out to everybody in the school community that's keeping on track with the accountability posts there every week. I love seeing these. I go through, I do look at them, even though I don't always respond. Just big thumbs up to everybody. Awesome work on all the things you're doing there. I want to give a big shout out to all these members that got their Smart Directory AI sites live this week. Brandon, Paula, Bill, Shelly, Tim, Tony, Dorn, another one. I mean, he's got another one live. So awesome work to everybody launching their new Smart Directory AI sites this week as well. Finally, I want to give a big shout out to our member of the week, Michael Gayo. I hope I'm saying that right. Gayo, for hitting the ground running and locking in his first client plus recurring revenue. Michael has just been, he is, the only word I can think of, relentless pursuit of his goal. This guy has been a relentless pursuer of getting his first client since he first came into our community not that long ago, only 90 days ago. But he has asked tons of questions. He has just kept doing things on the daily, and now it's paying off. So awesome work, Michael. We've got a very special gift coming to you. This is our Offline Sharks treasure chest. Only the people that get this know what's inside. So, Michael, don't spill the beans when you get it. But you will be getting one of these. The team's going to reach out to you for your address so we can get it shipped to you. You're going to love it. Some great stuff in there. Okay. Congratulations, Michael. We are going to do some shark shout outs as well. And then I will take a couple questions. Before I dive into the shout outs, though, I don't know if you've seen the emails we've been sending out this week, but HighLevel is actually running a summer sale right now. So you can get HighLevel for 50% off the next 3 months. So I'm going to put a link at the bottom of the screen. If you haven't seen that, just go to this link, offlinesharks.com/50 off GHL. Take a look at what they're offering there. If it makes sense for you, this is a really great promo. They don't do this very often, usually only once or twice a year. So you can go there, check it out. It really is an awesome deal. Again, I think it's 50% off for 3 months, something like that. So anyway, you can check that out at offlinesharks.com/50 off go HighLevel. I'm going to do some shout outs. We're going to give away some Cash App money. Let me go through some questions here and see if I missed anything. So all of these live shows are streamed on our Offline Sharks YouTube channel. So if you go to offlinesharks.com/YouTube, you can watch the replay of this. You can see all the other live shows as well. But last week's live show, workflows, and this coaching call that I did today on pipelines, they both work hand in hand. So these are subjects that I feel like you can't know enough about. So if you're thinking about a revenue producing activity, like look, investing time in understanding contacts, pipelines, and workflows will really pay off for your revenue producing activities down the road, because when you understand and you know how to use that skill, you'll be able to automate a lot of the processes that everybody else has to do. Says, oh, that's awesome. Made it clear. Great presentation. Oh, thank you. Lynette says, yeah, some of it, yeah. Whew, it does seem a little overwhelming at first, but I promise if you just keep plowing away and taking baby steps, right? Don't try to run a marathon. Just learn how to walk first. You guys will be good. Okay. Sam, I didn't set a time on that. You can set times and be like, hey, look, if they don't respond in this amount of time, you can move them to, you can actually move people between workflows. So like if they don't reply, you could move them to a long-term nurture workflow that would long-term nurture them. So there's all kinds of things that you can do there. But yes, Carolyn, they are a game changer. So, oh, no hangover here. I had this nasty head cold. It was like, it started in my sinuses. My nose was running. Like I couldn't have done this show on Monday or Tuesday. Like it was not good. And now it's slowly, like I don't have the sinus pressure anymore, but it's kind of moved down into my chest. Cameron knows. I've been on some meetings all this week and I'm like, probably looked like I was going to hack up a lung. But anyway, Valerie says, how can you add contacts in bulk? So, Valerie, I went over that briefly. Let me just cover this real quick for you guys because it is very easy to add contacts in bulk to HighLevel. So you do that in the contact section. And up here at the top, this kind of upside down C with the arrow pointing down, import contacts. You just click that. And then you can import them as contacts, or you may notice on the screen, you can import them as opportunities. So like if I want to just import them right into that new lead stage, I could do that as well. Okay. And then you just click next, and then you just upload your CSV. It'll ask you to map, verify, and then you just click install. So very, very easy. If you're a Smart Directory AI member, we have a whole video on how to bulk upload. I actually just reshot that video. So there's some new information in there about adding listings to your site and stuff like that. So you might want to go check that out. That's an update we did in Smart Directory AI this past week. I'm sure we'll be talking about that a little more next week as well. All right, so let's do some shark shout outs. And then if you have any last minute questions, Valerie says, you mean, to the workflow in bulk. That's really easy too. Here, I can show you that real fast as well. So here. And again, I actually, if you're a Smart Directory AI member, I added a new video called Workflows Explained, and I show you how to add individual contacts to a workflow because we've kind of changed the prospect a little. So you'll want to check that out. So here's how you do it, Valerie. So you go to contacts, you select whatever contacts you want to add to a workflow. So let's say that I made a workflow. Let me just kind of put this in context real quick. If I made a workflow and I didn't give it a trigger, and the first action of the workflow was add this contact to the new lead stage in the simple pipeline. Then whenever I add contacts to that workflow, the first thing it would do is it would put them in the new lead stage of that, right? So all you do to do that is you select the contacts you want, and then this little play button is add to automation. And so you have to give it a name. And then it's a workflow, and then you just select the workflow that you want to add them to. So you can just type it in. So if I just want to add them to this new simple email reply no, I can do that. You can add them all at once, do it at a scheduled time, or send in drip mode, and then you just click add to automation. So very, very easy to do that. And what I mean, and kind of what I was talking about there, Valerie, is in this workflow that I set up, let me show you this. I can just change this real quick. Instead of setting a trigger here, I would just delete this trigger, and I would make the first action update pipeline stage. So I'm going to do update. So you can see there's this create update opportunity. So if I make the first action to add them to this stage of the pipeline, right? So what this is saying is whenever someone is added to this workflow, create an opportunity in the simple pipeline example and put them in the new lead stage. So now you can see there's no trigger, right? So the only way to get this workflow to fire now is I have to manually add the contacts I want here. And then it will automatically add them to the new lead, send this email, wait for them to reply, and then do all this other stuff. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay. All right, let's do some shout outs, and then we're going to do some Cash App giveaways, and then we're off to the races. So number one, my boy, Rick Upshaw. Rick, I'm going to be in Dallas in October. Anybody else in that Dallas area? Nick and I are both going to be at the Go HighLevel Summit. It's happening October 13th through the 17th. If you've ever thought about going to one of those things, they are awesome. Thousands of HighLevel users. Come to the event. Meet us there. We're going to be down there. Rick got a new client project, a WordPress website, full marketing stack, $1,500 up front, $750 a month, 30% of gross revenue, whichever is higher. So awesome, awesome deal. Michael closed his first client for a new agency, $1,250 deposit for a funnel, $300 a month recurring. Again, Michael, awesome work. Congratulations on being member of the week as well. All right. Mark added 6,182 in new monthly recurring revenue since March. He collected 1,700 in deposits for 2 websites. Last 2 roofing company clients who chose to use Wix but retained both deposits. 2,800 invoices scheduled for July. Awesome stuff, Mark. Lorimer got his first client for CRM automation and ad creation. Fantastic. Scotty closed a restoration water damage company on $500 setup, $1,000 a month for chatbot, social posting, and reputation management. He also cold called a business owner after spotting a van with a Gmail address. He booked a sales call and then got a $300 a month chatbot subscription after offering a 2-week free trial. Awesome work, Scotty. I love that guerrilla marketing. See a van, take a picture, call them later, make them a client. Great stuff. Glenn landed an unexpected third client after a casual lunch conversation. He received an unexpected payment from another casual lunch conversation with a friend, reinforcing the importance of pricing services based on client perceived value. So awesome work, Glenn. Glenn's been crushing it as well since he came in. Kristen reported her $3,000 a month retainer for her social media and website maintenance for a bar restaurant client. Going strong, nearly 3 years, and she's raised that price over the past few years. So, man, that is a high value client right there, Kristen. Awesome, awesome stuff. Scott Riley, first meeting landed with a friend to discuss marketing for his mortgage business, chatbots, all that awesome work, Scott. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I know I lived in Hawaii for 11 years, but I am horrible with the names. She closed her first client for social media build and maintenance service with Diff Jeep Rental. That is really, really awesome. Overcoming the steep learning curve. Yep, you just got to power through it, right? So anyway, awesome, awesome stuff. Tyler pitched a every door direct mail to existing clients, $1,000 within 48 hours. Man, that is a solid fast win, Tyler. And Donna closed a CRM social reputation management package, database reactivation, $19.97 a month. Closed more than 6 $9.97 SaaS packages this past week and have 4 appointments lined up, all from cold calls. Awesome stuff, Donna. That's a grand total for this week of $24,661. A grand total of $681,963.43 that you all have closed since the start of 2025. Awesome, awesome work, everybody. We're closing. We're going to hit 1 million really, really fast. So awesome stuff there. I saw a couple questions from here. Let me take this off. Barbara says, as a friend of Go HighLevel, can you have HL? So Barbara, the A2P is not a high level thing. A2P is a law. Like it's a government, it's a government thing. So, I don't have any way to just get you auto approved. Like you have to go through the process. So HighLevel actually has some dedicated support to help you get A2P approved, but like that is not from them. That's like a mandated thing if you want to do text message marketing. So HighLevel couldn't get you auto approved either, right? Like you have to, it's a compliance thing. And they have to deem you compliant. They're an outside organization that does that. So the reason that you have to get A2P approved though is because you want to do text messaging, which that's what HighLevel does, but they have no control over the approval or denial of the A2P process. That's an outside organization. And I know it's super frustrating, but that's the government stuff, right? Let me look through here. Any other questions I missed? I don't see anything. You said you talked to support, even their the HighLevel special A2P approval support. You might want to, Barbara, search in the school group for A2P approval. I know there's some people in there that have posted some helpful things on it. Also, there is in the high level group, search for A2P approval in there as well. You'll see a ton of conversation around it. That was a big issue for them. That's why they started the dedicated support to help you get approved. Did they tell you what the sticking point is? Like what the reason is you're not getting approved or why you're not getting approved? I'd be curious. Okay, again, if you want to take advantage of the high level summer sale, go to offlinesharks.com/50 off go high level. I'm going to give away some Cash App money right now. Here's what I want you guys to do. If you can go into the chat of wherever you're watching this video and just put in hashtag summer sale, I'm going to draw 2 lucky winners. If you have any last minute questions for me, put them in. They said it's the CTA. Have you tried, like, are you not able to change the CTA? Put in hashtag summer. I see 9 entries so far. In a minute, I'm going to draw. We're going to give away 2 $25 Cash App gift cards. Awesome, awesome, awesome. See them all coming in. Fantastic. All right, you can keep putting them in. I'm going to draw for the first winner. The first winner of $25 in Cash App money is Telltale Marketing. Congratulations. Oh, I see more entries coming in. I'll give you another few minutes to get in on the second one. Keep them coming in. Hashtag summer. And I'm going to draw again for the next one. Our next $25 in Cash App winner is Kristen. Hey, congratulations, Kristen. Awesome. You can reach out to offlinesharks.com/support. Let them know you're a Cash App winner. The team will get you sorted there, or they will reach out to you with your prize money as well. Congratulations to everyone. Thanks, everybody, for being here on this Friday. I'm excited to be back, even though I didn't feel 100%. I was really looking forward to this training. I actually had this training lined up a few weeks ago, and then with the 4th of July weekend, we had to push it to this week. So I've been looking forward to delivering this, talking about this kind of core functions, how to help you get better traction and have better success with high level, and all the other things that come along with that, right? All of the things we talked about today apply very much to Smart Directory AI as well, because Smart Directory AI uses the contacts, and you can add in pipelines and all that stuff as well into that process and customize it however you want. So thanks, everybody. Stay safe out there. Practice Aloha. I will see you here next Friday. We do this call every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you show up. Until then, stay safe, practice Aloha, and see you next Friday, everybody.